Hey guys, this is Crap Hunter, and welcome back to World of Tags. Woo! So, after a long period of time of me not doing anything, or well, actually no, it was after the period of time with the World of Tanks passing of the test special, I haven't actually reviewed a tank in about a couple of weeks. Jeez, I think we need to get back into reviewing stuff now, don't we? Apparently, although there are fireworks going off in the background, I cannot see them, so let's assume the war's back on. Yay! Yes. And if any of you guys are completely confused by what I'm talking about, of course I am talking about Wargaming Net's 15th anniversary. Yes, I think it is their 15th birthday or whatever, because they're giving me a tank, they've given us a nice location, they're subtly hinting at what they're doing in the future. War Thunder beats that. Looking forward to that. Anyway, so, yeah, like I was saying, War Thunder, World of Tanks, has decided to send out this tank, the LTP, and I thought I'd have a little look at it because it's quite a nice nimble tank, and I think you guys might like this one. Unfortunately for those of you guys out there who haven't got an account yet and probably want to, I'm afraid to disappoint you, but this tank may not be in your garage. I think this thing only applies to those who've registered their account before this, so unfortunately, oh dear. Okay, so let's have a look at this tank then. The LTP, what is this? Well, this is a Russian Tier 3 light tank. If we have a little look, I'm trying to think about it. How do I get into this thing? Vehicle details? No, how do I remember there was a certain thing there. Was it research? Ah, yes, it's research. Right, cool. So there you go. So there's the LTP Elite Light Tank. It is a premium vehicle, and it is a tiny vehicle, as you can see there. The proposed light vehicle developed by Lieutenant Promov. I'll just call him Promov. It's easier. Promov decided to make this tank design, but unfortunately it never saw production, never had any prototypes or anything, which is a shame because this actually isn't a bad tank. Oh well. So let's have a look at its stats. So, 230 hit points. That's not bad, to be honest with you. In comparison to a fair amount of other tanks, that's actually quite reasonable. It's better than the BT7 because that has 220 hit points, I believe. I haven't played the tank in a long time, but I do remember it being 220 because I've blown enough up. And I remember this one actually I think has either 230 or 240 hit points, so that's not bad. It's keeping up with its competitors. And the Germans, with the Panzer A, does have 240 hit points. So it's not as good as the German Panzer A, but it's not bad. At Tier 3, you know, in World of Tanks, when you start the game out, you've got Tier 1 tanks and you have no idea what you're doing. But as you go from Tier 2 to Tier 3, you're starting to notice the things and you'll start paying attention to what shoots at you. So 230 hit points is a nice safeguard for anyone who still doesn't quite get it yet. And it's quite a nice, fun little tank. Let's have a look-see. So, tonnage. This thing weighs 11 tons, but I actually put it weighs 11 tons, and I just put a little ventilation in there. So, yeah, that's pretty good for a light tank. I mean, obviously there are lighter tanks, but that's not bad. You know, it's not like a heavy one. This means that it's engine power of 170, however. Right, okay, here. Hate to get onto the negatives this quickly, but it's not a fast tank. It's tiny. I mean, we'll go into the size bits later, and it's a light tank, but unfortunately it doesn't have the advantage of... It doesn't have the advantage of the BT7's super, like, zappy ability to drive fast. This thing is a bit sluggish, and it will get up to its speed limit, but it will take time. If you're on flat ground, you will take some time getting there. A better bet would probably be to probably go find a hill to go down, at least. But at least you can go over a slight incline. I like how they put the 0.1 there. It's like, and 0.1! Just like, that's going to make all the difference. That said, though, this thing actually has one very nice advantage. Bloody traverse speed. I mean, okay, you haven't got a very powerful engine, but look at that! Look at that, 52! Jesus Christ, that's brilliant. I mean, that actually challenges the American Chaffee tank. Okay, the Chaffee tank would still beat it because it's got better armor, better gun, but and of course an upgradable engine, but that's not bad. That thing turns pretty darn good. And this thing, you know, if this thing ever could be made into a tank which you could upgrade, I reckon this thing will probably challenge the Chaffee tank and be a good match for it. But still, that's not bad. 52. I mean, obviously, once again, you'll have to kind of wait for the tank to actually turn, but when you get into it, it's fine. It turns very quickly. Turret traverse, 36 degrees. That's pretty good. That's quite fast for a tier 3 tank. Don't forget, we're at tier 3 here. We're not talking about a KV-1S, a Jagdtiger. I haven't got one. A Jagdpanzer, there we go. And the almighty Tog. But it's, you know, for a tier 3, that's pretty darn good. View range. Well, you know, it's not bad. It's Russian. You know, I'm beginning to notice, and I probably should have begun to notice this before I even started reviewing, but I'm beginning to notice that Russian view ranges tend not to be so fine as everyone else's. They're kind of blind. They need glasses half the time. But in comparison, if we have a look back at what their view range is, 310. It's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. If we have a look at their Russian counterparts, we'll note that they have the same kind of aiming thing. Yeah, 310. I believe the BT7 kind of has it worse off. Yes, 280. So we're better than the BT7, which is a bit of a relief. But in other parts, the American M3 Stuart, with its upgraded turret, will have 330. Oh dear. For Germany, we're looking at 320. Ah, okay, fair enough. And for the British, with their Cruiser 3, what do they have? 320 off the beat with an upgradable turret, meaning 330. So unfortunately, we got that to worry about. Ah, okay. Well, that said, it's not too bad. I mean, for a tier 3, once again, it's not bad. And another good thing about this is its signal range. Okay, by tier 3, many other tanks have an upgradable radio system. You can get from tier 3 to tier 7 radio. That's 4 tiers upwards to get to a 450 meter range radio. And I think you can get the same for the American Stuart. In fact, you can get to a tier 9 radio from the American M3 Stuart. And with Russia as well, I think, they even can get... No, they get a tier 5 radio. So, well, you know, it's not bad. And there you go, tier 5 radio, 360. You've got the... You know, it's like I said, it's not perfect, but it's a gift tank. You're not really going to try and find something which is meant to beat other tanks easily. Well, now that you mention it, there's actually one thing which makes this tank very nice. Well, at least in tier 3 matches. It's armor. Check it out. 30 degrees. 30 millimeters at the front. 20 to the sides. 30 to the rear. This tank is very well armoured, and not only that, it's angled. Look at that. That's like a good 30 degrees angling. That's what I was aiming for. Look at that. 30 degrees. That's pretty darn good. Seriously, that's good. Normally, half the time, you get, what, 20? Maybe even less? Let's have a look at the T-46. 22 at the front. What's the... Oh, okay, the BT-7's piss. It's 20. It's like a paper thin. Let's look at maybe some of the Germans. The famous German one. Let's have a look at that. Only 14. German Panzer 38. 25. What about the British? The Cruiser 4. Only... Okay, even 30. So British know what they're doing, at least. I loved that vehicle as well. But there you go. I mean, let's have a look at the Americans. The M3 Stuart. 38. Okay, so the American Light Stuart is the only tank that can beat this. I'm not counting the AMX-38 because it's a pile of crap and it's very slow. We're talking about light tanks, not attempting to be light tanks. Also, forgot to mention Chiha. What's the armor of the Chiha? 25. So, what can you do? So, that's pretty good, and the armor for the turret is pretty much the same on all sides. Only downside, of course, is that it is a lot more. It's a lot flatter than the sides and rear. I mean, the sides. It's not very well angled. And for you guys worrying out there, there is a log, so you can nom on it with your all beavish heart content. But yeah, that's not bad. And another downside, of course, is for the side armor. This undersection here is like a goal. Imagine football, not soccer, football. Imagine that being here. That's a goal for anyone to shoot, and it's quite easy to score. So, okay, there are disadvantages, but this, as I said, this is a tier 3, gift tank. This thing isn't meant to do things, but that said, it actually does quite a good job against the infamous Panzer 1C's blast technique. And in fact, I don't know if any of you guys have suffered from this, but in tier 3, where you're in a lightish tank, well, a light tank, and a Panzer 1C blams you to death with his infamous Mauser machine gun. Not so in this tank. Literally, I had it on like the first... I remember I came in one time and onto the town of Ensk, and this one guy came around, tried to blast me with his machine gun. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you!" Bing, 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 bing. Oh, shit. He's gone. The thing pinged off my front armor like, I don't know, throwing pebbles at a wall or something. It was just, it didn't do anything, and it was brilliant. Ah, I love that. It's a shame this thing doesn't actually have a name, because I would definitely call it the answer to the Panzer 1C. It definitely challenges the Panzer 1C's authority to its gun. The only downside, of course, is there's another downside to its tank, which unfortunately stops this from being the be-all and end-all for Tier 3. And that's its gun. It's only got a Tier 2 45mm KL. Now, it's got good penetration. Like, for a Tier 3, once again, it's very good penetration, but the accuracy and the aiming time, I mean, 2.1, I mean, that's something we should see at Tier 7, or 8 even, but not Tier 3, good God, no. Oh, jeez. I mean, okay, if you're lucky enough to have a good crew, thank God, but apart from that, this thing is just... when it comes to shooting, this thing is quite a pain in the arse. I mean, it's got an incredible firing rate, and it does a fair amount of damage at Tier 3, but its accuracy and well, to be honest, its accuracy is a no-brainer. You're a Russian tank, their accuracy at Tier 3 is terrible, but a 2.1 aiming time, and in fact, I think even 0.46 is actually quite surprisingly good, but at 2.1, it's kind of fortunate that your tank actually is very well armoured, because the only way you could ever make this thing work effectively is if you get around to the side of enemy tanks whilst taking fire, because otherwise this thing it makes it very difficult to shoot this thing. It's a shame, to be honest, because, this thing is, for what it's worth, this thing is quite good, It's effective in battle. In fact, with platoons, it's absolutely devastating. In fact, there's going to be a replay I'm going to show you guys where a platoon working together effectively can actually turn the tide of any battle. Just absolutely brilliant. So, well, let's have a look at equipment though. So, okay, the gun is pretty bad, but what can you get to help that? Well, you can get an enhanced gun laying drive, but oh dear, 500,000 for this thing. Oh god, you're gonna have to work with your E75 for a bit, or the SU-122-44, because this thing is expensive. I mean, that's expensive. Jeez. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, what would I recommend? Okay, what would I recommend for this thing? Well, if you're gonna keep it like I am, I would definitely recommend improved ventilation first class 1. Very luckily, at this level, you'll only have to pay about 50,000 credits, and I say it's worth it. I mean, if you're an experienced World of Tanker, you've got a Tier 5 tank, you can earn about 30 to 30,000, so a couple of good games, and you should be fine for getting yourself a ventilation class. For your second one, I would say maybe... well, definitely get an enhanced gun laying drive, if possible, but considering how much it costs, it probably would make more sense to try and go for something else, but what can you go for? No, I'd still recommend the enhanced gun laying drive, because quite simply, a 2.9 aiming time is absolutely god-awful. But, that said, this is only a Tier 3 tank, so I don't really think it'll be too much. I mean, it could do something, but I doubt it. For your third and final option, it is always, as I say, up to you. You would probably like a light spore liner, so that way you can ram certain tanks that get too close. I mean, that said, this thing can ram. I mean, you know, I wouldn't advise it, but it can ram. And, you know, the heavier you are, the more likelihood you can blow enemy tanks up, so, wahey. So that's not a bad idea. I wouldn't go for the coated optics or a binocular telescope. This gun on the tank does not snipe. It cannot snipe. It's a mid-range to close-up combat gun. So don't bother trying to get a sniper style. Well, actually, camouflage wouldn't be a bad idea. Because one extra thing I kind of almost forgot to mention is this tank is very, very, very small. It is very small. If you haven't noticed how big the driver's hatch is, which is also a weak point if you're ever trying to kill this thing, you no doubt notice that this tank is immensely small in comparison to its counterparts. Let me just get you an example. Let me get you, right, a Hetzer, which isn't that much bigger, right? Just try and imagine in your head this tank, right? We'll go sideways, actually. So there you go. There it is. Bang! Did you see that? Okay, we'll do it one more time. You see that? See that? Bang! Every tank, with this tank at least, that you drive against, it's a bit like being in Shadow of Colossus. You're just this poor little bastard in a tank, and everyone around you is a Colossus. God help you if you're ever in a match with a Tog. I mean, seriously. In a sense, I kind of want to be in a match with a Tog now, just to see what it would be like to drive alongside this beautiful machine whilst being one of these. It would be, you could just get a bit of Shadow of the Colossus music going on, and try and kill that. Seriously, you couldn't even kill this thing. So, yeah. This thing is tiny. And that, I suppose, helps it to its advantage. Its camouflage rating would be great. So a camouflage net wouldn't be too bad. Who knows? The final two bits, the enhanced torsion bars, maybe wouldn't be a bad idea. But that said, this thing can't really go that fast, so it's pointless, maybe. A bit of a pointless endeavour. A wet ammo rack, you don't need to worry about stuff like that, because you haven't really got the health or the hit points to really take advantage of that. Cyclone filter. The engine, I've not had it knocked out once. It's more about the treads and just the mere size of this thing that works. And finally, toolbox, don't even think about it because, you know, like I said, no hit points. There isn't really much point in it. For crew training, well, obviously, you'll want your commander to have something along the lines of either reconnaissance or sixth sense. So go recon, and then when it hits 100%, go to sixth sense, so that way you can tell if you've been spotted. And then once you've got that, go straight back to recon, so that way you can see further ahead. For your driver, I would recommend, just because, smooth ride, not smooth ride. Well, actually, you could have smooth ride. I mean, I was also going to recommend clutch braking, but because you've already got 52 degrees worth of that, you may find that that skill may come into handy. So yeah, probably a good idea to have smooth ride or clutch braking should you be able to want to turn a little bit faster whilst you're driving. For your loader, you will probably just want repairs. And I completely forgot that the gunner is also the commander. So forget what I said about recon, get snapshot. So get snapshot for your gunner, so that way it keeps the accuracy during your turret rotation. And for a 2.1 aiming time, it kind of needs it. So get that until you're 100%, then scrap that, or drop its skill, get sixth sense, and then get that snapshot back again. So that should be alright. But apart from that, that's about it for this review. Not like, you know, that's it for the video, but that's about it really, that's what I think of it. So what's my overall summary? Well, I like it, you know, it's a very good tank. It's a definite good gift tank. It's not something which we can sort of say, thanks Wargaming, and then we sell it for whatever kind of gold fix we need. It's actually really, it's quite a surprisingly good tank, and as I've said previously, working in teams is very devastating to opposing forces, which is kind of where I'm going with next. So I will see you after Well, I'll see you in the replay. Catch you then, guys. And we're back. So, this is the battle I was talking about, and we are currently on Ensk. Now, just to let you guys know on a couple of things, first of which is my HUD layout. I've actually downloaded the XVM mod. So yeah, it's a very good mod. I highly recommend it. It's got very good details. I finally can see with all the map, you get to see the names of the vehicles, you get to see the names of your friends, and you get a much better version of the map itself. Also to note, I downloaded and tried to install a couple of sound mods for the tank game, World of Tanks, and I cocked it up. Not entirely, but you know, to a degree. So there may be points of which my tanks may not hear, you may not hear the engine of the tanks, but luckily in this game I think you can. Another little thing to note: look how big the Smegging Cruiser 4 is. I mean, seriously, that thing is tiny when you drive it. Even the Su-18 looks like a decent-sized tank, and that's what you get with this thing. Every tank is very, very tiny. So, yeah, we're currently in Ensk. I'm platooned up with a couple of mates of mine, and we're going to try and cross the railroad to try and get into town, because once again, this is an encounter map, and we're trying to get into town before everyone else gets into town, because then that way we can try and find the best, we can try and get to the slugfest zone a little quicker. And, you know, our Locust player on our right-hand side does the dutiful deed, and tries to get through via suicide scouting. But I still don't quite get why people do that. So anyway, as I'm luckily one of the first few people onto the left-hand flank, we start to approach the midsection into the battle. And so by this point, it was anyone's game, to be honest. We'd lost only one tank. I was trying to avoid getting into any kill zones. And one of the guys we were going with, I believe Mr. Gallagher, was a new player to World of Tanks, so we were just like, right, okay, let's show him the ropes, try and help him out as much as we can. And what I was wanting to do was I was wanting to try and push up a little bit further, so that way we can find a good spot to ambush said enemy forces. So by this point the game was kind of looking quite positive for us. Although we lost our first two tanks, we still had an ability to engage, and there you go. So yeah, mod makes the game sound a lot better. So whilst I was kind of waiting for this enemy LTP to back up, I was very much ever aware of the fact that our opposing forces were starting to claim lots more in the way of kills. And Mr. Gallagher actually got his first kill in that tank, which was quite nice. We were like, yeah! And here you go, Panzer 1C. Oh boy, here we go, and blah 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 blah. Ping 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 ping. Oh shit! And this is where great teamwork comes in. So we pinned him. We were like, get him! Don't let him escape! Never! Bang! And Mr. Gallagher steals another kill. He's very good at vulturing, isn't he? Beginner's luck, as we say. So there you go. Teamwork, getting one first kill. And by this point, the game is now really starting to look bad. We are capping, but the enemy team are now starting to take over the whole battlefield. We're trying to drive over to try and help this guy take out the M3 Stuart, but then we realise the M3 Stuart is about to get his ass handed to by that D2. So now we're starting to look for artillery, because by this point the game is very much not looking in our favour. Most of our opposing team members are there, and then bang, we bump into the first of the LTPs. I'm able to get a good ram into this, so there you go, a little bit of a ram. Now, just note where the penetration is. Okay, so I got him in the track, and another good place to aim is from the front mantlet, so that's just one little note to remember. And once again, good teamwork, trying to track the fire, angling, and bang! We were able to knock out that I think the D2 player actually somehow got that, which was quite nice. And then there was another LTP player coming in, trying to attack, bang, going back forwards. Just trying to aim forward, bang, into the driver's hatch once again, and bang, ricochet, lucky ricochet at that, and Hendrix gets the kill. So by this point there was just us and the D2 player. So okay, this isn't looking good at all. But by this point we were kind of going to do a last fanatical stand, and it was by this point I spotted the Vespa, which is a very important target, and I was just like, oh crap, we've got to get that thing. Now for some reason, even though I said we got to knock out that Vespa, we they didn't, and both Hendricks and Gallagher was going for the targets. I was going for the Vesper because, well, let's face it, artillery is an evil bugger. I believe, though, that sorry. So we're currently holding our own against the enemy forces. The Valentine AT tries to pop a shot and knock out Mr. Gallagher, and I'm currently focusing. Myself and Hendricks are focusing on the LTP over here. So Mr. Gallagher, unfortunately, is very new to this game, so he was making a couple of mistakes, spending a bit too long in the way of the enemy light tank. And so by the time we were able to knock out the enemy LTP, Mr. Gallagher was already on very low health, and despite us trying to get there in time, it's like, no, Gallagher, no! Bang! Unfortunately, Gallagher was killed by the Valentine AT. But that said, if you've been noticing things, we've actually saved the game, pretty much. Gallagher himself had actually got 3 kills, pretty well done. And oh, that was a lucky miss by the Valentine. So now I finally get 2 kills, and I'm just like, right, I'm going to have you. Oh dear, taking a nasty hit. Mr. Hendricks takes away my kill. The bastard. Oh. No, so anyway, we've pretty much saved this match from tier... what? From 6... no, probably about 5 to 6... about 6 players to 3 to now 2 on 1. And that was pretty damn good. I mean, that was a very good recovery. So this tank is very good if you know how to use it and have got experience with you, because Hendricks himself is a very big World of Tanks player, and I'll be sure to put his link in the comment section down below. Go, feel free to check out his stuff. He's got a lot more. He's a lot more into World of Tanks. I mean, he's been in the game longer than I have, but he's a very good player, very good driver, and this shows. You know, he got 4 kills. Done very well in this game, and so did Gallagher. I'll try and put his channel in the link in the description as well, because he's a very good gamer as well. So hope you guys enjoy. So by this point we were just capturing. I was trying to avoid maneuvering because, trying to avoid standing still. That's what I'm trying to say, because there was still a T-26 out there, and I was on like a pitiful amount of health. So as we were coming along towards coming up to the 60 marker of the capture point, we're starting to think, right, okay, the enemy guy is either AFK or he doesn't really want to fight us. This is good. Come on, just a whittle bit more, just a whittle bit more. Come on, we're so close, we're so close. Uh-oh, the T-26 approach F. So by this point, we're just trying to like take cover, right? No, we got to fight this guy, we got to fight this guy, come on. Just keep him distracted, don't get hit, don't get hit. Oh no, I got hit. Ah, damn it, you bastard. So unfortunately the T-26 did score a lucky hit, resulting in my unfortunate death. However, the Dual King Alpha is still taking place. Oh god, we're so close. Oh my god, that was close. Yes, so Hendricks very luckily got the last kill, and it resulted in the game being won, which was absolutely fantastic. Very good team working with this, and like I said, in a sense, it just goes to show where a decent tank with good team working equals ultimate awesomeness. And like I said, the 230 hit points did us proud. I think if we had anything less, we probably all would have died at that game. But luckily, we didn't, and the game was pretty much in our favour, and we won, which was a very good turnaround considering how it was like 6-3. So very good on that one. Another little quick note about the XVM. First of which, it makes the tank's corpses go white. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of that. And also, there's it shows you where the enemy tanks that have been destroyed are. Don't mind those too much, but I am minding the fact that I am now a white ghost. So anyway, I will catch you in the next replay, where it's not as crazy, but once again, the advantages of the LTP come through. Okay, so slightly less dramatic and chaotic battle, but once again with Mr. Gallagher, and also to showcase the LTP's capabilities in a higher tier match. This is kind of what you'll probably be facing as a worst tiering as possible. This is the worst tiering I've had so far. So even though you're at tier 3, it's still possible you can survive. And once again, I would just like to highlight how tiny this tank is. I mean, put it in this perspective, the Convenator looks humongous, and the UE-57, which is a tier I believe it, yeah, tier 3 French tank destroyer. It looks like an average sized tank. I mean, Jesus Christ. I've actually stood next to a Panzer III in real life, and I reckon I probably would be taller than the LTP. This is a tiny ass tank. Seriously. So anyway, we're currently on encounter battle at steps, and shockingly enough, the team does the right thing. So there's Panzer. I think that's another premium tank actually. The Panzer B2, and it's all just been his arse handled too. And there's Mr. Gallagher getting shoved a bit by Panzer 3, and I'm just currently explaining to him like some of the principles of encounter battles, like how it all works, where to be, what kind of tactics would be good enough. When all of a sudden an M3 dumbass appears, where he tries to go, "I'm gonna scout your base and knock your artillery out," and we're like, "Nah, mate, 6 tanks on 1, no chance." Unfortunately, I did hit him, but unfortunately, to no avail, I did not be able to get him off. But that said, Mr. Gallagher got the shot in. He's getting very good at this game, I will say. So the M3 Stuart player is just like, "Oh no, I can't go. Oh shit." And that was close. I was a bit resistant to moving forward and actually going and getting the kill, because by this point, the scout's job had done his job. All the enemy team players were trying to knock out our points here, our tanks over here, and surprisingly, it wasn't until now that I realised that our team is actually doing the right thing. Even though the Panzer II player is like, "Oh my god, team, you gotta be like lemmings and go not the right way." Dumbass. Anyway, so the MAA1 player is trying to have a little go at our tanks as they go across. Gallagher and I were trying to have a pop shot at him. And at tier 4, which is where this thing is, this gun can still pen and knock out tanks like that, as Mr. Gallagher just stole. The M7 Priest, of course, having a little go at us, because let's face it, he's a scumbag. So as we're marching towards the we're rolling towards the capture point, we start to now, things are sort of looking pretty average for a game, though luckily we have more players over here. And I spotted a look. And I was like, "Oh dear, look, could easily pen my tank. It's a tier 4 and it's got a good gun." Bang! Hit it, unfortunately only ricocheted. And, oh look, an enemy LPT. Intriguing. I'll try and pop a shot. Bang! Nice solid shot to the side there. Just trying to have a look, see which target to go for. I'm just telling Mr. Gallagher, watch out Gallagher, you're going to end up getting blown up by the T-40. So I'm trying to I move up to try and see if I can get a second shot, and I find that the Mr. Luch driver has decided to take up residence with those guys also. So by this point, I'm just trying to pop a few shots into this tank, and it's very frustrating. And I'm just going to pause it. This is a perfect description of how tiny this tank is. I think this is the thing I wanted you guys to see. Look at the Panzer III, and now look at the tank, the LTP. Look, Panzer III. In fact, I'll try and do it like that. There you go. There you go. I mean, look how bloody tiny this thing is. I just can't get over how tiny this tank is. Anyway, enough of me being stupid. So yeah, by this point, I was a bit like, "No, Mr. Panzer, don't do it," and he paid the price, unfortunately, but not to a point where we ended up like something heavier. And I'm trying to pen this bloody T-40, and Gallagher's taking the shots. And it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just doing my usual thing," and I'm like, "No, I want this kill. Damn it!" Bloody hell. So, yeah, unfortunately we couldn't quite get the kill on that one. So at this point I'm like saying, "Guys, we need to cap. We seriously need to cap." I'm like telling Gallagher, "Get over here, Gallagher. We need to capture the point." And I would just like to put a top tip here, because lots of players don't do it, but I would just like to highlight, and I'm going to pause it so that way we've got enough time to say. When it comes to the steps map and you're in encounter mode, and the game can be won with you capturing it, but you don't want to be hit by anything, don't go over there, or don't go there and stay there, because all the enemy needs to do is just get around to the near top of that hill and blow you up and kill you. What you need to do is what I'm doing, and what I told Gallagher to do, which is quite simply, and what even the Chihat is doing to a degree, is basically get as close to the hill as possible and cover it, because not what that will do, it will force the enemy especially if they're coming from this angle, to have to go over the cliff or over the top of the hill, go down, completely exposing themselves to free fire. And imagine, right, say for example, this is a higher tier match and we're in, say for example, I don't know, tier 8s. I'm in a Tiger 2. Everyone else is in like, you know, a variety of tier 8 tanks, and like 3 IS-3s come along and they have to try and capture the point and try and stop us from capturing the point. If they have to come over the top, or if one has to come over the top, that guy is going to get his ass handed to with on a straw. You'd have to drink through food from a straw, because everyone where I am would be able to throw shots in his direction. I know it's a bit of a diversion here, but I would just like to highlight that, because when you're there, you can get shot very easy, whereas if you're here, you won't. So, I always try to teach things. This is an important thing to win, because we've lost games where people have been over there. Stay here, where my tank is. Anyway, so nothing much really happens at this point in the match. The LTP attempts to try and come over here and have a go at us, and Gallagher's like, oh, we're going to go sort it out, and I'm just like, calm down, man, chill, man, there's no problem, we're alright, it's alright, brah. And pretty much that's the game been sorted. The Panzer B2 player unfortunately does not live long enough to see the glorious days of our victory, but we all do, and we're all, and there you go, just trying to, I was actually thought about the traverse speed, there you go, that's how fast this thing turns, so that's pretty darn fast. Pretty nice, isn't it? And the T28 player died because of an LTP. That's nice. Oh, it wasn't an LTP. Ah, cool. So the Panzer 3 is like, watch out, man, you're going to get destroyed. The Panzer BT2 player is like, help. And we're like, okay, we're trying to get to you, but we need to capture the point. So on this occasion, the Panzer 2 player kind of went too far out, and sadly, no chance. But by this point, the game is pretty much won. And, well, and the game was won after that by this point, but yeah, pretty much that was it. So I'll see you back in the garage. And so there you go, the fireworks have returned and the LTP has proven itself. Well, that's quite a nice thing, to be honest with you. I'm very happy for this tank, because it's not a bad tank, to be honest with you. You know, yes, it's got its disadvantages, but not only is it a tier 3 tank, it's a gift tank, it's a premium tank for that. So it's not going to have the advantages of all the other tanks. It's not going to have any distinct personal advantages. Like, you know, in some tanks, like the American T-34 has an advantage. You know, you have 120mm worth of gun, you've got a ridiculously well armored turret, and you will earn money from it. Or in other cases, you've got the low tank, which has good armor and a good gun. You know, this tank is not really meant to be any exceptional thing. It's a tank. It's given to us for free, and it does the job it's intended to do. My personal complaints and grievances is, unfortunately, this thing isn't that fast, and I would personally prefer it if I could have a better gun, like maybe a 57mm, but, you know, that's a bit too much to ask, isn't it? But that said, it's pretty good for what it's worth. I mean, I also forgot to highlight, this thing has a shit ton of shells. 150 shells in total, so that's pretty darn good. I don't know how the hell it stores them, but it's very good for its tiering, and I'm pretty sure that this tank will perform very well in future engagements. So yeah, I like it. You know, well, happy birthday Wargaming, thank you very much for the gift. Please send more if you're going to. Anyway, so that's about it for this review. So if you liked it, thank you very much for watching, and if you like this kind of content, do let me know by liking on it, commentating on it, give your opinions about the LTP if you have played it. If you've noticed any other peculiar or interesting things about this tank that I haven't quite covered in the review, feel free to put them in the comment section down below. Also, feel free to check out my other quality content. I've got Rome Total War series going on. I've got War Thunder going on, so if you enjoy both World of Tanks and War Thunder, I've got both. I'm also running a Spore series at the moment, which is very entertaining at the moment. I've just reached the tribal stage, if you do play Spore, and yeah, that's about it on this one. So thank you very much for watching. Hope to catch you on the battlefield sometime. This is Crap Hunter signing out.